Sometime in the next year, Peugeot will show us the sporting version of its new 208 hatchback, and I for one will leave my house if they don't call it the 208 GTI. And when they do, just one question will be uppermost on all of our minds, just as it was with the 207 GTI and the 206 GTI before that. Can it possibly, and at last, be as good as this? The truly legendary and scintillatingly wonderful 205 GTI. The genre, known as the hot hatch, has been around for more than 35 years, but never has it created an act more difficult to follow than this. Launched in 1984 with a 1.6 litre 105 horsepower engine and developed into this ultimate version, the 130 horsepower 205 GTI 1.9, its combination of lightweight, strong performance and barely believable handling swept all rivals aside. It is no exaggeration at all to say that the 205 GTI taught me how to drive. Not in a pass your test kind of way where you learn only how to operate the car, but I mean really drive. It wasn't until I found myself on a roundabout in one and discovered that if you pressed the accelerator a bit more it would widen its line, and if you eased off it would tighten it, that I really understood what all those motoring journalists who'd written about steering cars on the throttle were really talking about. I also discovered that if you snapped the throttle shut sufficiently fast, it would throw you into the nearest field. But the 205 GTI would never have gained the reputation it enjoys today, simply by being a bit handy in the corners. It was the fact that such a driving experience happened to come wrapped up in what was also a brilliantly practical and great-looking package that proved so utterly unanswerable. It was fast, really fast, with a 1.9 litre motor, but so too was it quiet enough to make the longest journey more pleasure than pain. It was fun on the right roads, but on the wrong roads, all but the earliest were also quite comfortable. They had lots of space inside and even a cleverly packaged boot. As for the looks, well, over a quarter of a century later, they're as fresh as ever. So was the 205 GTI a perfect car? By no means. Some of the interior materials were awful, even by the frankly lamentable standards of 1980s French hatchbacks. The seats weren't that great, but the real problem came if you hit something in one of these. 205 GTIs tended to possess all the structural integrity of a wet lettuce. That said, if we even noticed at the time, we certainly didn't care. We were just too busy enjoying ourselves. Revisiting cars that were once great is often a bad idea. You build them up in your head into being something that they never were. Time moves on, you come back to them and you discover they're actually pretty disappointing. But not this time. In fact, the modern hatchback with its dulled responses by its excess weight actually makes a car like the 205 GTI even more relevant, even more urgent, even more exciting. So when history comes to tell the story of a hot hatch, where is this car going to be? Well, it wasn't the first, certainly isn't the fastest. I think it'll have to put up with being simply the best.